Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Today we have great information for you about the importance of having the right balance of bacteria in your intestinal tract. My guest is Dr. Raphael Kellman, who literally coined the term microbiome medicine. He pioneered this groundbreaking new brand of medicine and is the author of The Microbiome Breakthrough, The Microbiome Diet, as well as several other books on that topic. He treats gastrointestinal issues, chronic fatigue syndrome, heart disease, autoimmune disorders, Lyme disease, cancer, autism spectrum disorders, and unexplained, unresolved health issues. He's also diagnosed countless thousands of patients around the world suffering from undiagnosed thyroid disease through his innovative testing approach, which goes much deeper than conventional testing. He also offers practical advice for dealing with COVID-19, something we're all very interested in these days. So welcome, Dr. Kellman. Thanks for being here. Great to see you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So before we get into how our gut microbiome impacts COVID-19 and so many other health issues, can you briefly explain what the gut microbiome is and why it's so important? Because this is actually a relatively new concept for many of our viewers.
Sure. Well, there are trillions of bacteria within our gut. In fact, they outnumber our own cells 10 to 1. That means we're mostly bacterial cells. And they play a vital role in maintaining our health, in improving our health. And when it's not healthy, it can have an adverse effect on our body. So it plays a major, major role. And while for 150 years we thought bacteria were the bad guys, we're now learning that, in fact, they're the ultimate ally. And they play a major, major role in our overall health.
Unfortunately, it looks like COVID-19 will be with us for a while longer. What advice can you offer about how to deal with this virus on an individual basis?
Well, sure. First of all, there's been research already that the microbiome is altered in those who develop COVID and who develop serious effects from the COVID virus. And so one is by keeping the gut healthy. Taking pro and prebiotics is very, very important, especially a probiotic. But also there's a number of antiviral compounds that we know about that will have positive effects. The coronavirus family in general operates under certain principles. It has different phases of attack, and they actually hijack our enzymes and our receptors of our cells, and they then cause all kinds of damage to the body. There are a number of different herbs that can block the virus's ability to do all of that. And we know that to be the case through scientific studies with other coronaviruses. So through inductive reasoning, we can assume that it will also be beneficial for this coronavirus as well. And that's what basically I recommend. So the herbs could be andrographis and licorice and many cordyceps and many others that I recommend that will affect different phases of attack that the virus does to our cells. And that's what I believe is the most important treatments that we can use. Additionally, it's been well established that vitamin D has a very, very important preventative role for viruses in general. And in disease in general, vitamin D seems to be playing a major, major role.
I fondly remember interviewing you last year at your New York City office, and we all know that area was hit very hard by COVID-19. How did you manage during the peak? And what's your advice to prevent community spread, not only in New York City, but everywhere as we venture out into society for work, school, or whatever reason?
Well, I think number one is that everyone should be taking vitamin D. There's a concept called disease resistance and disease tolerance. And we can resist disease by improving our overall health. And that has a lot to do with maintaining a healthy gut. That's why I wrote the book, The Microbiome Diet. And I wrote other books called The Microbiome Breakthrough, The Whole Brain, to show the importance of the microbiome and gut health in maintaining our health and creating what I call biological resiliency or disease resistance. So it goes a long way when you keep the microbiome healthy. So that's number one. Number two, vitamin D is very important to take. And for many people, people have zinc deficiency. So I would also recommend a vitamin, maybe a multivitamin that contains zinc. And these are ways that we can improve our biological resiliency.
Dr. Kellman, where can people get more information about your books, your medical practice? And we know that it's very important right now, particularly because it centers on the microbiome and how to use the microbiome, take advantage of a healthy microbiome to fight COVID-19. Where can people get more information?
Well, my website is kellmancenter.com. Kellmancenter.com. That's Kellman center.com. My books could be found on Amazon. The Microbiome Diet, people can purchase that on Amazon. And The Whole Brain, and the most recent one, The Microbiome Breakthrough, can all be purchased on Amazon.
Well, let's change subjects slightly from COVID-19 to other issues. Certainly all of these other problems that we're having don't take a break during this pandemic. And, you know, so many families are touched by autism. Can you tell us briefly how you treat children on the autism spectrum, and what kind of results have you seen?
Well, one of the findings that I found in autism is that a lot of children with autism and developmental disorders have an underactive thyroid. And it's quite interesting because the thyroid plays a very important role in development of the brain. And the thyroid is also very vulnerable to toxins and free radicals. And there are so many chemicals in the environment today that one of the reasons that chemicals are a contributing factor to autism is because of its effects, not only on the brain, but on the thyroid as well. So, but the routine test frequently misses the diagnosis. That's why I do a different test, what I believe is a more precise test called the TRH stimulation test, which is much more likely to diagnose the problem. And that's why I'm picking up so many more children who have autism with hypothyroidism, and it's consistent with the medical literature that shows that the toxins in the environment play a very important role in thyroid dysfunction, and perhaps that's the mechanism of why these toxins cause such damage and play a role in the development of autism, and it's because of its effect that it has on the thyroid gland.
So how do you treat these children, and what kind of results have you seen?
Well, for some children, I end up putting them on thyroid hormone. Now, of course, there's many other issues as well: inflammation, signs of autoimmunity, even in the brain, different metabolic pathways that are suboptimal. So there are many, many different roads that lead to autism. It's like a chronic cough. You know, there are many causes of the cough. The cough is the final end result. Same thing with autism. There are many roads that lead to the development of autism. Thyroid is one of them, but usually there's a combination of different factors that lead to this chronic entity, chronic disease called autism, or developmental disorder, I should say, called autism. And the more of these pathways that we identify that are contributing factors, the more likely we'll be able to help these children who are suffering from autism.
And it so affects the families. Well, you're doing amazing work, and we're going to take a quick break and be right back with Dr. Raphael Kellman. Stay with us.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
And ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
a 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back. We're talking with Dr. Raphael Kellman, author of The Microbiome Breakthrough. Dr. Kellman, thyroid issues are so common these days. People with thyroid problems really suffer in their day-to-day lives. However, too many people don't realize their thyroid is at the root of why they feel so bad. This is something that you're passionate about addressing. Can you tell us about your unique way of detecting thyroid issues and how you treat them?
Sure. You know, thyroid disease is very, very common, and that's because there are so many chemicals in the environment that can cause thyroid disorders, and frequently it's not being detected and picked up on routine blood testing. And that's why so many people complain of so many unexplained chronic symptoms, and blood testing are not showing anything. And because, you know, we've been led to believe that blood tests, regular blood tests, are always going to pick up every problem that modern medicine has thought of, but it's not really the case. Sometimes the routine blood tests are very elusive. So I do what I consider a more precise thyroid test called the TRH stimulation test. But also, I believe that many people have this entity called non-thyroidal illness syndrome, where the problem isn't really so much coming from the thyroid itself, but from the signals up in the brain to the pituitary gland in the brain to the thyroid. And these downregulation of these signals is because of chronic health issues, because we're not well, because we have general malaise and general degree of chronic sickness in our day and age, that it just downregulates processes in the body. And that becomes very elusive because routine tests just miss it. It defies the routine testing that we know of that looks for concrete diseases. This is just a lack of wellness that manifests itself as poor signaling or a downgrading of signals, and everything goes into slow motion. And that's why people are suffering from so many unexplained problems, and the testing is missing it. And this is an entity that's quite common, and in the end, the thyroid gland is not, you're not getting enough hormone out of the thyroid gland, and therefore people are complaining of fatigue, difficulty thinking and concentrating, and poor brain function, and depression, and anxiety, and weight gain, and all these symptoms, and all the tests are coming back normal. Well, they may have this actually a manifestation of lack of wellness in our society today, which causes this downregulation, this what I call sleepiness of the brain, that leads to all these chronic symptoms, and yet they go undiagnosed and untreated so commonly.
Dr. Kellman, you wrote a book called The Microbiome Diet. Can you tell us what people should be eating and drinking when it comes to building up and maintaining a healthy gut?
I think the microbiome superfoods that I talk about include jicama, Jerusalem artichokes, leeks, fermented foods, and it's not just kimchi. There's a lot of different fermented foods that people could buy today. These are all the microbiome superfoods, but it's basically more plant-based foods with some specific superfoods of the microbiome. Very important. Taking prebiotics are the nutrients that feed the bacteria, and that people could buy in health food stores. In fact, taking prebiotic, which again, on the foods that bacteria like to eat, is maybe the most important supplement that people could go on, because you're feeding our greatest ally. And isn't that the most important thing to do, is to taking care of your great ally that's going to really take care of you? And that's our responsibility, is to feed our greatest ally, our bacteria. The bacteria really are the bedrock of life itself, because without bacteria, there would be no life on Earth.
So if we incorporate these things into our diet, can we still eat the standard American diet, or do we need to definitely cut some things out in order to have a healthy gut microbiome?
Well, I'll tell you something. If you start eating like this, you're not going to want the typical sad American diet. You're just not going to desire these unhealthy foods, because when you regulate your bacteria, it will then cause you to want to eat healthy foods. It's a phenomenon that's just unbelievable. It's mind-boggling that we're primed and we're born to eat healthy foods, and we're even born to desire healthy foods. And that desire is linked to the healthy bacteria. When the bacteria are healthy, we desire healthy foods. When the bacteria are not healthy because of unhealthy foods that we're eating and lifestyle, then we're going to desire unhealthy foods. Now, what could cause the gut bacteria to become unhealthy? Meaning that the types of bacteria that are found in the gut ecology is altered, or it's deficient, it's not as robust as it should be, it's not flourishing like it should be because of antibiotics, not just from doctors, but from the poultry that we're eating, from certain medications. Many medications actually we're finding can actually disturb the microbiome, but also trauma, adverse childhood experiences, and psychological problems, and depression and anxiety, and you name it. Wide variety of health issues from A to Z can impact on the health of the microbiome. And the opposite is true too. An unhealthy microbiome could contribute and even cause a wide variety of diseases. So we're dealing with a very complex web. And the bottom line is that in our day and age, our ecologies are unhealthy, and the outer ecology is unhealthy, and so is the inner ecology unhealthy. And it's a primary driver of disease in general. And this is so critical to know, that if we can improve this inner ecology and improve the outer ecology, our environment, we're going to go a long way to making life a lot better, not just for human beings, but for all life on Earth.
All right. Well, we're talking with microbiome expert Dr. Raphael Kellman. We're going to take a quick break and be right back. Stay tuned.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time: keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
And we're back talking with Dr. Raphael Kellman, whose medical practice centers on building a healthy gut microbiome. Dr. Kellman, I know we could talk about this for hours, but can you briefly list the health problems a healthy gut can prevent?
Absolutely. Number one, it could prevent gastrointestinal problems like irritable bowel and inflammatory bowel disease like Crohn's and colitis. It plays a significant role in mental health. If you improve your microbiome, gut microbiome, the trillions of gut bacteria, you're going to be improving your brain. They work together as one whole brain. Hence, I wrote the book called The Whole Brain to show that the brain and the microbiome are inextricably interwoven. And without improving the microbiome, we're not going to have a healthy brain. So it plays a major role in all kinds of neurological problems like depression and anxiety. And we could use the microbiome to heal anxiety and to improve the depression. Neurodegenerative disorders is a link to an unhealthy microbiome. Asthma, absolutely. In autoimmune disorders, the microbiome plays a profound role in various autoimmune disorders. And that's a pathway to healing. Whether it's rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, lupus, etc., colitis and Crohn's disease, also autoimmune disorders, uveitis, and the list goes on. The microbiome could be used as a significant, even primary, in my opinion, modality of treatment to heal these disorders. So that goes a long way. Even in cancer, it plays a role. There's no doubt that we're dealing with an altered microbiome. When one has cancer. Improving the microbiome can, in my opinion, improve your immune system. Well, we know that it improves your immune system. And when you have a healthier immune system, well, that gives you the defense, a stronger defense that is so critical when you're trying to fight cancer. So the answer to the question is that a healthy microbiome not only can prevent a wide variety of disorders, but can be used and harnessed to treat a wide variety of disorders.
What about medications? We've heard about antibiotics, but are there also some other ones we really should try to avoid?
Yeah, proton pump inhibitors like Pepcid and Prilosec and Protonix. These are medications that block the all-acid production, and we need acid in the gut for a microbiome to be healthy. And the acid is produced in the stomach, of course, and if we don't have the right amount, if it's going to be blocked, then you're not going to have a healthy microbiome, because the pH of bacteria of the intestines is so critical for the healthy ecology. So those are one class. There's even some evidence that hypertension medications can certainly alter the microbiome. Now, that doesn't mean people should get off these medications at all, but it just means to be very prudent with the use of any medication, especially the proton pump inhibitors.
What about NSAIDs, aspirin and the like?
Yeah, the overuse of NSAIDs also can have an adverse effect on the microbiome. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
All right, we're going to take one more break. We'll be right back with more from Dr. Raphael Kellman. Stay tuned.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world-class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians are
Christians in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
We're back with Dr. Raphael Kellman. Thank you so much, Doctor, for this great information. You have actually dispelled the myth that bacteria are always bad. Talk about viruses.
Great question. I'm glad you asked me that question. You know, bacteria and viruses have been vilified and demeaned and degraded for the last 150 years. Well, finally, we're beginning to realize that bacteria are not the bad guys, but they're really our greatest ally, as we spoke about in this show. Thank you. Without bacteria, there would be no life on Earth. Without bacteria, we wouldn't be able to survive. And bacteria maintain our health and play an active role in improving our health on a daily basis. The same thing with viruses. Without viruses, there would be no life on Earth. It also works with bacteria to keep certain bacteria in check, in balance with other bacteria. So without viruses, the microbiome would not be balanced. And viruses play a role in bacterial replication, in bacterial health, and bacterial health plays a very important role in human health. So each one on a different level of evolutionary pathway or different levels of the spectrum are helping each other.
Well put, and I liked how you wrapped it all up. Dr. Raphael Kellman, thanks so much for your time and for your work, healing so many patients by helping them develop a healthy gut. Well, that's it for now for this edition of Healthy Living. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next time. Bye, everybody.